Sabrina Carpenter just broke the internet with her new album cover for Man's Best Friend. And honey, the reactions are wild. We're talking about heated debates on every platform, The View hosts arguing about it, domestic violence charities speaking out, and fans literally comparing the discourse to discussions about world conflicts. The cover shows Sabrina kneeling on all fours in a black dress while someone grabs her hair. And people are either calling it brilliant satire or regressive imagery that sets women back. She even dropped an alternate cover approved by God after the backlash. But here's the thing, while everyone's focused on the controversy, there's a much bigger story about what this album actually represents for Sabrina's career. So let's dive into the drama and the real tea behind what might be remembered as a pivotal moment. Let me break down exactly what has everyone so pressed. On June 11th, Sabrina announced her 7th studio album, Man's Best Friend, coming August 29th, and posted 2 images, one of a dog wearing a collar with the album name, and the provocative one that's causing all the drama. The controversial cover shows Sabrina kneeling on the ground in a short black dress and heels, with one hand on the floor and one reaching toward an unidentified person in a dark suit whose head is cropped out of frame. The person is grabbing strands of her blonde hair, and Sabrina is staring directly into the camera. The imagery immediately sparked comparisons to dogs doing tricks, given the album title, Man's Best Friend, and her position. Some people saw it as a play on the phrase where women have been called the B word for decades, while others saw it as degrading and submissive. The timing couldn't have been more controversial either. This dropped during a time when women's rights are being rolled back, and messages like "her body, my choice" are trending. So people were extra sensitive to any imagery that could be seen as reducing women to submissive positions. Within hours, the comments on Sabrina's Instagram were flooded with reactions, ranging from disgusting and disturbing to defenses, calling it satirical with a deeper meaning. The debate got so intense that it spread to every social media platform. Y'all, the reactions to this cover have been absolutely unhinged. People are taking this as seriously as major world events, and the discourse is everywhere from Twitter to TikTok to Reddit threads. The negative reactions are harsh. Fans saying, "Why are we proudly comparing ourselves to dogs? Love Sabrina, but this picture, why is the man in there like that? It's not a very empowering image for women." As a domestic violence survivor, I find it uncomfortable. Glasgow Women's Aid called it regressive, saying it promotes an element of violence and control. People saying it's tired tropes that reduce women to pets, props, and possessions. But then you have the defenders fighting back just as hard. For those of you who may lack critical thinking skills, the cover is clearly satirical with a deeper meaning. Let women be horny. She's not performing desire for someone else's approval, she's expressing it for herself. The title directly nods to how women have been labeled bitches for decades, and she's essentially saying, "Fine, I'll take the word, flip it." The debate got so mainstream that The View hosts spent a whole segment arguing about it. Alyssa Farah Griffin defended it, saying, "If you listen to her music, she's a feminist," while others questioned the message. Whoopi Goldberg's take? "I would have bit him. If you're down there, you bite." Iconic. Sabrina clearly saw all the drama, because on June 25th, she dropped an alternate cover with the caption, "And here is a new alternate cover approved by God," which was definitely throwing shade at all the criticism. The God-approved cover shows her in a formal gown at what looks like a fancy event, grabbing onto a suited man's arm and looking off camera. Some media outlets think it references a 1957 photograph of Marilyn Monroe and Arthur Miller, which would fit Sabrina's pattern of referencing old Hollywood glamour. She didn't stop there, though. She released a second alternate cover on July 8th, showing her lounging in a chair surrounded by flowers, and a third final alternate cover on August 8th, featuring her hosting a dinner in a sparkling blue dress while commanding 5 men in tuxedos. That one came with the shade of calling it the final alternate, like she was done playing games. In a recent interview with CBS Mornings, Sabrina finally addressed the controversy directly, saying, "Y'all need to get out more, and I cannot give a fuck about it." She said her parents actually loved the photo, and that she heard a lot of criticism as pointing fingers without understanding her artistry. She's also defended her sexual imagery in Rolling Stone, saying, "I don't want to be pessimistic, but I truly feel like I've never lived in a time where women have been picked apart more and scrutinized in every capacity." This controversy has opened up a much bigger conversation about female sexuality in pop music and whether Sabrina's approach is empowering or problematic. The debate basically breaks down into two camps with very different interpretations. Team It's Satirical argues Sabrina has always used humor and irony in her work. She's flipping misogynistic expectations and taking control of the narrative. The cover is intentionally exaggerated to feel almost absurd. She's following the Madonna tradition of sexual provocation for provocation's sake. Given her feminist lyrics in songs like Man-Child, this is clearly commentary, not compliance. Team It's Regressive counters, satire only works when it clearly critiques what it's referencing. This recreates sexist imagery without disrupting it, so it reads as compliance. The timing is particularly bad given the current political climate for women. It's catering to the male gaze and objectifying women. Young fans might not understand the supposed satirical intent. Culture commentator Megan Cruz summed up the criticism. "I'm not going to ignore the entire historical precedence that has gotten us here to this moment. We have come to accept such spineless, fucking nothing art." The debate reflects larger tensions about how female artists navigate sexuality. Are they empowered or exploited? Is this artistic expression or capitalist provocation designed to generate buzz? While everyone's fighting about the album cover, they might be missing the bigger picture about what this album actually represents for Sabrina's career trajectory. And this is where the what we'll really remember part comes in. According to reviews, Man's Best Friend launched amid the controversy, but the album itself feels rushed, like it's leftover bits from her previous hit album Short and Sweet. Critics are saying that even collaborations with top producer Jack Antonoff and standout songwriter Amy Allen can't fully lift the material. One review said Sabrina faced two choices: take a break to craft equally strong material that would cement her hard-earned reputation, or rush out an album that feels like leftover bits, hoping to fill the 2025 chart vacuum. Unfortunately, they say she chose the latter. The timing is interesting because Sabrina's coming off her biggest year ever, with Espresso being the most streamed track on Spotify in 2024. She had all this momentum from Short and Sweet and could have taken time to create something equally strong. Instead, the album is being overshadowed by controversy over the cover art rather than celebration of the music itself. The review mentioned that this might end up being what people remember most about the project, rather than the actual songs. Some critics are saying that to be a true Madonna 2.0, Sabrina needs to push boundaries in production and artistry, not just in provocative imagery and lyrical content. Here's what's really interesting about this whole situation. While everyone's debating the cover, Sabrina's first single, Man-Child, debuted at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, which was actually a first for her. So the controversy might actually be helping her chart success, but there are some concerns about her artistic direction. The album closes with a song called Goodbye, where Sabrina bids farewell in multiple languages, and some critics think this might be her way of saying goodbye to the formula that elevated her career. The review I mentioned earlier said even a strong espresso can't be replaced with Teacher's Lounge instant coffee, basically suggesting that this album doesn't match the quality of her previous work that made her a superstar. Sabrina has always been known for tongue-in-cheek playfulness and provocative performances. She got in trouble last year for filming a music video in a church that got the priest stripped of his duties. But there's a difference between clever controversy and controversy that overshadows the art itself. The question is whether this album will be remembered for the music or for the drama. Given that reviews are saying the songwriting lacked depth despite good production, the cover controversy might actually be the most memorable thing about this era. That said, Sabrina has proven she can bounce back from controversy before, and her core fanbase seems to be sticking with her through the debates. What this whole situation really shows is how impossible it is for female artists to win in 2025. Sabrina's caught between expectations to be empowering, sexually liberated, artistically serious, commercially successful, and socially responsible all at the same time. If she makes sanitized, empowering content, she's boring. If she's sexual, she's either catering to the male gaze or being inappropriately provocative. If she's artistic, she's pretentious. If she's commercial, she's selling out. There's literally no winning. The fact that one album cover can generate this much debate shows how much pressure female artists are under to represent something bigger than themselves. Sabrina's just trying to make music and express herself artistically, but every choice gets analyzed through multiple political and cultural lenses. What might be most telling is her comment about women being picked apart more and scrutinized in every capacity than ever before. She's experiencing that scrutiny in real time with this album cycle. The irony is that while everyone's debating whether her imagery is feminist or anti-feminist, they're not really discussing her actual music or artistic growth. The controversy has become bigger than the art itself. Maybe that's intentional. Maybe Sabrina knows that in 2025's attention economy, being talked about is more valuable than being universally liked. Or maybe she's genuinely trying to make artistic statements that are being misunderstood. So, what will we really remember about Sabrina Carpenter's man's best friend era? Honestly, it might be exactly what that review predicted: the controversy over the album cover rather than the music itself. Critics have been fighting about whether her imagery is empowering or regressive. The actual album seems to be getting mixed reviews for feeling rushed and lacking the quality of her previous work. The discourse has completely overshadowed discussions about her artistic growth or musical evolution. But here's the thing, Sabrina's. Man-child went to #1, so maybe the controversy is actually working for her commercial success, even if it's not helping her artistic reputation. The question is whether she can turn this attention into lasting career momentum, or if this will be remembered as a misstep. What's definitely clear is that female artists in 2025 are under impossible pressure to be everything to everyone, and Sabrina's experiencing that reality in real time. Every choice gets dissected through cultural, political, and feminist lenses that make it almost impossible to just be an artist. Now, I want to hear from y'all. What did you think about Sabrina's controversial album cover? Do you see it as satirical commentary or problematic imagery? And do you think the controversy is overshadowing her actual music? Drop your thoughts in the comments, but let's keep it respectful since this touches on some sensitive topics. And if you want more celebrity controversy breakdowns and music industry analysis, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. Hit that like button if this whole situation has you as invested as the rest of the internet, and I'll see you in the next one.